Ferdinand, the monkey, was lost again. He wasn't sure how it happened. One minute he was with his troops swinging through the rainforest, the next he was dangling from a pair of enormous, brightly patterned bloomers. "Blimey!" a voice boomed from above. Ferdinand looked up to see a woman built like a brick house staring down at him. "You're a long way from home, ain't you, mate?" Ferdinand chittered nervously, desperately trying to untangle his foot from the floral monstrosity. It was going to be one of those days. The woman, Doris, as it turned out, had a soft spot for strays. She couldn't resist helping any creature in need, whether it was a dog, cat, or even something more exotic. Even the hairy, banana-loving kind. She had a knack for making friends with the most unusual animals. She brought him inside, fed him a questionable-looking banana. It was slightly blue, but Ferdinand wasn't picky, and tried to make conversation. Doris had a way of making even the oddest situations feel normal. "So, you got a name, love?" she asked, scratching Ferdinand behind the ears. Her voice was gentle, filled with genuine curiosity. He liked that, even if her fingers felt like sausages. It was a strange but comforting sensation for him. Ferdinand, lacking the vocal cords for pleasantries, opted to show off his one-party trick. He wanted to impress her, to show he was more than just a wild animal. He puffed up his chest, beat on it with his fists, and let out a fearsome roar. It was his way of saying, "Look at me, I'm special," Doris chuckled. "Right then, we'll call you Winston." She had a twinkle in her eye, clearly enjoying the moment. Or, wait, I got it, Tyson, she paused, considering the name carefully. "Yeah, Tyson the Terrible has a ring to it, done it?" She laughed, pleased with her choice. Ferdinand, or rather Tyson the Terrible, he was starting to rather like it, decided to make his escape. The name gave him a newfound sense of identity. He scurried up the curtains, narrowly avoiding a lampshade shaped like a pineapple, and swung out the window. Freedom, the world outside was calling, and Tyson the Terrible was ready to answer. The outside world was a cacophony of unfamiliar noises. Cars honked, dogs barked, and somewhere a siren wailed. It was all terribly exciting. Ferdinand, feeling rather adventurous, decided to follow the most intriguing sound, the rhythmic thumping of music. He found the source in a park, emanating from a group of people dressed in brightly colored clothes, moving in a way that could only be described as organized chaos. They were dancing, and the music was terrible. Ferdinand, a connoisseur of fine jungle rhythms, couldn't stand it. He had to intervene. Section 4. Fighting, of course. Leaping onto the nearest boombox, Ferdinand let out a war cry that would have made a banshee proud. His voice echoed through the park, bouncing off the trees and startling the birds into flight. The dancers stopped, startled. This wasn't in the choreography. They exchanged confused glances, unsure of what to do next. What in the blue blazes? A man with more hairspray than hair began, but Ferdinand wasn't listening. He had bigger plans. He was on a mission. He launched himself at the DJ, a scrawny fellow in a neon green vest, and delivered a swift kick to the shins. The DJ yelped in pain, stumbling backward. The music screeched to a halt. Silence, glorious silence, descended upon the park. The once lively atmosphere was now filled with an eerie stillness. "Right, you little—" The DJ sputtered, but one look at Ferdinand's furious expression, and he thought better of it. The fire in Ferdinand's eyes was enough to make anyone reconsider their actions. He slowly raised his hands in surrender. The crowd watched in stunned silence, unsure of what would happen next. The unexpected ally. As the park settled into an uneasy calm, Ferdinand scanned the crowd for any sign of trouble. His eyes caught the movement of a small, wiry figure sneaking around the edges of the park. The figure seemed to be searching for something or someone. Ferdinand's curiosity piqued, and he decided to follow at a safe distance. The figure darted behind a tree and pulled out a small device from their pocket. With a few quick taps, the device began to emit a series of beeps. Ferdinand's ears perked up, recognizing the pattern. It was a distress signal, one that only a few in the monkey community knew. Ferdinand approached cautiously, making sure not to startle the stranger. As he got closer, he realized the figure was another monkey, slightly older but with a familiar glint of mischief in their eyes. The stranger turned abruptly, locking eyes with Ferdinand. "Who are you?" the stranger asked, their voice a mix of suspicion and relief. Ferdinand, unable to speak, pointed to his chest and then to the device. The stranger's eyes widened in recognition. "You're Ferdinand, aren't you? The one who took down the DJ?" Ferdinand nodded, a sense of cautious camaraderie forming between them. The stranger introduced themselves as Zara. a scout from a neighboring troop. "I've been tracking some shady characters who've been causing trouble in the parks," Zara explained. "I think we can help each other." Ferdinand's eyes lit up with excitement. He had found an ally in his unexpected adventure. Together, they concocted a plan to rid the park of any remaining troublemakers. With Zara's cunning and Ferdinand's bravery, they made quick work of the miscreants, ensuring the park would remain a safe haven for everyone. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the park, Ferdinand and Zara shared a silent nod of mutual respect. They had both found something unexpected that day, friendship and a sense of purpose. The scene faded out with the two monkeys swinging through the trees, ready for whatever adventure awaited them next. Home again, and a jiggery pokery. The park, now devoid of terrible music, was surprisingly peaceful. The air was crisp and the leaves rustled gently in the breeze, creating a symphony of nature that was a stark contrast to the chaos that had ensued earlier. Ferdinand, feeling quite pleased with himself, decided it was time to head home. His steps were light and his heart was even lighter, filled with a sense of accomplishment and relief. He had a feeling Doris would have more of those blue bananas. The thought of the sweet, exotic fruit made his mouth water and he quickened his pace. And that's when he saw them. His eyes widened in surprise and he stopped in his tracks, his troop swinging through the trees on the other side of the park. They moved with such grace and agility it was a sight to behold. They looked just as surprised to see him as he was to see them. Their eyes met and for a moment time seemed to stand still. "Ferdinand!" his mother screeched, rushing towards him. Her voice was filled with a mix of relief and reprimand. "Where have you been? We've been worried sick." Her eyes scanned him for any signs of injury or trouble. Ferdinand, feeling a bit sheepish, just shrugged. He didn't know how to explain the adventure he had just been on. It was hard to explain. The events of the day were a whirlwind, and he wasn't sure where to start. But as he turned to leave with his family, he noticed something peculiar. A figure standing in the distance caught his eye. The DJ, now recovered from his shin-kicking ordeal, was looking at Ferdinand with newfound respect. His eyes held a glimmer of admiration. "Hey!" he called out. "That was some impressive stuff back there." His voice was warm and inviting. "You got a name, kid?" The DJ's curiosity was piqued, and he wanted to know more about this brave little monkey. Ferdinand, for the first time in his life, felt a pang of regret at not being able to speak. He wished he could share his story, but then a mischievous glint entered his eye. He had an idea. He puffed up his chest, beat on it with his fists, and let out a roar that would have made Tyson the Terrible proud. The DJ grinned, clearly impressed. "I knew it," he said, pulling out a business card. His smile was wide and genuine. "You and me, kid, we're going to make beautiful music together." The promise of a new adventure hung in the air. Please like, subscribe, and join us for the next adventure. Comment with new story ideas to help build the story community.